Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Another episode of Points in the Paint. It's our podcast directed and really just meant to be all about women's basketball in the West Coast Conference. Ann Schatz, Mary Murphy, coming at you with yet another scintillating episode. Mare, how are you?
I'm great. It's great to be home after a long weekend in Pullman doing a bunch of games, but we had a blast and we made it home through the snow and the ice and the fog. So it's just great to be home.
It was really fun to be with you in Pullman. And that's a great little town. And boy, I'll tell you, when it comes to basketball, I know football is a different beast, but when it comes to basketball, those folks know and love their basketball.
Yeah, I mean, we had a great time. We covered the women 2 games, and one they lost to Santa Clara and one they won. And did a men's game, and it was a blast. The whole weekend was a lot of fun.
It was great. Great to be with you too. And speaking of Washington State, we're going to start with our quick hitters, and we're going to start with the Cougs. Number 3 in the U.S. in blocks per game. They come at you in waves, and there are 4, 5, 6 players that will get into that category every game.
Yeah, I think it's really something to say that when you're third in something and there's 362 teams playing Division I women's basketball, you're doing something special. And they certainly, when you talk about rim protection, they do an absolutely outstanding job of it. You just better find a way. And a team that found a way was certainly Santa Clara, because only one block shot in that game and the Broncos come away with the win. So they figured it out. You might want to watch that tape and help them for you to figure it out.
Because normally it's 7 blocks per game. And again,
Yeah.
it's down low. It's anywhere near that point area.
That's exactly right. So they're a lot of fun to watch just defensively with what they're able to do as far as block shots.
Let's talk about Alex Covill.
About it.
Well, I mean, she was perfect in one game this weekend and just was unstoppable for Washington State.
Yeah, in conference play, she is shooting 80% from the floor. She's 22 of 28. She simply doesn't miss. Back in the starting rotation, they're doing a great job of getting her the ball inside. But boy, she has been so valuable. You just talk about the step up from a freshman year to a sophomore year out of Missoula, Montana. She's just been putting on a show. She looks terrific on the floor.
Her sidekick, Tara Wallach, had herself a weekend too and is rocking and rolling in conference play.
Yeah, 13 offensive rebounds in the 2 games this weekend. I mean, if there was a missed shot, there was Tara Wallach. I mean, she was just all over the offensive boards. 13 in 2 games, quite a number.
No days off, no nights off. To your point, you better bring it. Let's look at the standings. You mentioned USF atop the WCC at 5-0. I mean, this is their best start since, you said, in 1995-96 when they went to the Sweet 16. I know we got a long way to go, but I got to think that Molly Goodenbauer, her staff and kids love seeing where they are right now.
Yeah, I think but again, you can't get too high because now everyone's looking at the standings and you're the one they're gunning for. And we talked about this during the course of our broadcast, that finishing in that top 4, that top 2 is so important rolling into the WCC tournament in Las Vegas, that every single game against, it doesn't matter who, you have got to be ready to play. There can be no let up, especially during your home games, man. You have got to come and you got to bring it.
And you're vying for those high seeds for obvious reasons. You want that 1 or 2. And if you can't get that, you want 3 and 4. And when you look at what's below, who's below USF in terms of the standings, those folks are logjam and they are bringing it.
Yeah, I mean, you go St. Mary's, Washington State, Gonzaga, and Portland, and then Oregon State sits at 3 and 2. And Oregon State, a team that has played 4 home games all year long, and they're gonna start getting a lot more home games. So and then you've got to go into a facility that Gill Coliseum, similar to what happens at the Kennel. Like, you're going to be 4,000 to 5,000 people there, and they're going to be fired up. So can't wait to see how the weekend goes in Corvallis.
All right. Must-see games. You mentioned that game in Corvallis.
Yeah.
So USF on Thursday at Oregon State, that will have a playoff feel.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. And I think there's going to be a lot of people there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And Oregon State's going to be looking to bounce back after the loss to Washington State, and they've got to get their offense going. But clearly now they've got to find a way to slow down USF as well, because they're scoring close to 80 points a game in conference play.
Wazoo on the road at St. Mary's on Thursday. I will be scoreboard watching this one.
Yeah, when you look at St. Mary's as they sit in 4-1, this is a huge weekend for them because they've got 2 home games. They start with Washington State and then they've got UOP. So again, you want to hold court at home. They've got a great facility. They get solid crowd, and you want to go in there and just play well. And we spoke with Kennedy last week. We know how fired up they are, and they're sitting in great position at 4-1, but that thing can improve, or it can, the teeter-totter that is the WCC this year is for real. It's be interesting when we get together a week from now to see where we're at.
Well, yeah, and you have those big games on Thursday. You take a breath, but then Saturday's coming. So when we look at some of those Saturday games, Gonzaga at Washington State, USF at Portland, Pacific at St. Mary's, my goodness.
I just want to throw out one more Thursday game. So San Diego is going to be at LMU, and we know that one of those, they're both sitting at 0-5. One of those teams is going to get a win. And the heartbreak for LMU, a game they look like they were in a position to possibly go into overtime and win. They end up losing by 3 on that end of game play by Kennedy Schuler. So, one of these two teams is going to come out and finally get a win, and that's going to help take some pressure off. But that Saturday game, Gonzaga at Oregon State, it's a high noon shootout, man. That thing is going to be something to watch.
So let me back you up. Gonzaga at Washington State,
Excuse
correct?
me, at Washington State.
Yeah. So that you're going to have a bunch of kennel-loving Gonzaga folks coming to Beasley, that's for sure. Those folks at Beasley are going to take umbrage with that, and it's going to be on at
Yeah,
Beasley.
it's going to be a lot of fun. And then USF at Portland, Pacific at St. Mary's. I mean, on and on. And my big question is, will the points in the paint jinx continues? With the first 2 weeks, our guests have teams have lost. What's going to happen to Devin and USF this week? We'll find out.
What'd you like about this weekend in terms of the totality of the WCC? I'm stealing that question from you. What'd you like?
I am completely enamored with how competitive it is. And I'm just fired up to see every game, to see what happens. But more than anything, I'm looking forward to jury duty tomorrow and carrying out my civic duty. So I'm looking forward to kind of leaving this and moving on and then come back.
You crack me up. Civic duty. All right, only you, Mary Murphy. I'm going to throw out, you mentioned U of P. I think Pacific is poised. Now that's the Ann Schatz jinx. Me just, saying, Pacific, I think you're ready, but I think Pacific's ready to make a little run. That's my prediction.
Yeah, you talked about that over the course of the weekend when we were hanging out. So we're going to find out.
Man, all right. May the jinx end. May the jinx end, Mary Murphy. May your civic duty run be all that you could ever want it to be. Shoulder square, head held high, represent you and me when you're being a juror, will you?
We'll try.
All right, everybody. Points in the Paint is going to say, see you later. Till next week. Of course, we're coming back at you every single week through the regular season and beyond. Thanks for joining us. Ann and Mary saying so long. And, this has been fun.